This is part 3 of gathering crash dumps. In this video, I will pick up where I left off, where I'm going to be invoking 80plus.exe. Invoking just means I'm going to be starting it. And we will refer to the two definitions, crashing and hanging. So to invoke it, I will type 80plus.exe. Now there are some switches I need to run to tell the application what mode it needs to run in. So for example, using those two definitions, if I am wanting to monitor for a crashed application, I will use the actual crash switch. So I type that in here. Now, the next thing it needs to know is which process do I want it to monitor to see that it's going to crash. Now, the easiest way to do this is through using a process ID. And so if we put the switch -p into there, it wants to know the process I want to monitor. So if I come in here and I start Task Manager, notice I have my list of processes here on the second tab. But I can't see the process ID. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change and select my columns, and I'm going to check this top box so that now when I come back, I'm actually displaying the process identifier. Now in this example, I'm going to force Internet Explorer to crash so that we can do this correctly. So it's going to be process 3392. So inside of my command line, I put 3392. Now, the last thing I need for 80plus to execute is it wants to know a output directory of where it is to put all of the information. So whatever path I type in here is where my crash dump is going to be located. So I'm going to make it easy on myself, and I'm going to put it under C, users, IC admin, and I'm just going to put it on the desktop because that way I can just find it really quickly, and then when it starts I can see that it's generated a folder. So this should be all that I need, or all that you would need to do to monitor for something that's going to crash on a particular machine. So if I press enter, you'll see the application begin to execute. You get a little kind of welcome screen, and then it tells you right here that it's attaching to process 3392, and it'll tell you the name of the application, and it's in crash mode, and it shows me that the logs in the memory dumps will be placed into the following directory, and there it is on my desktop. And if I double click, I can see it's already generated a little bit of information, but I don't have an actual crash dump at this time. So now what I'm going to do to force it is I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to end the process. I'm going to crash it sort of manually so that we can see what happens. So if I click on end process, some things will begin to happen in the background, and after a short period of time, if I go back to the folder where the crash dump is located, you will see now that I have a new dump file in here. At this point, you don't have to do anything with this. This is what support is going to open. And to actually look at this and be able to glean information from it, you need some other tools, and you need to know how to use those other tools. But from a remote perspective, getting this information off of the computer is what we need. So to finish up, let me show you the other mode that you can run it in. I'm going to go ahead, well, Internet Explorer went ahead and relaunched for me because it does that. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run this in hang mode. So it's literally the same command that you would type before. It's just I need to change two things. I need to change crash to hang, and then I need to update my process ID with the new process ID that Internet Explorer relaunched with, and you can see it opened with 3328. So I've now put in 3328, and I'm going to keep my output directory the same. Now, the difference between crash mode and hang mode: in crash mode, it waits for that process to actually end, and then it gathers a bunch of information. When you run it in hang mode, you're telling 80 plus that this application is no longer responsible, is no longer responsive. So I need you to gather all the information about the environment right here at this moment, so that we can determine why it's actually hanging. So when I run this, I would expect my dump file to be created right now automatically. So I'll go ahead and run it. It goes ahead, you can see the folder starts, and I'm going to give it just a second to complete. Check the CPU, looks like it's done. So if I come in here and open it, now you'll see that I have a dump file created on the fly in this moment with Internet Explorer still open. So those are the two ways to run 80 plus and the reasons why you would run them in each of the modes. To review the process, you want to go to the Microsoft site where you actually download the debugging tools for Windows. And when you do the installation, unselect everything except for the debugging tools. Once you have that, you need to determine whether your application or your process is hanging or it's crashing. It's very important to run it depending on the circumstances, and then run 80 plus in the correct mode. Once it generates the folders, zip it up, compress it, however you want to do it, and then send the entire folder contents to support, and they will begin to unpack the crash dump and let you know what the problem is. Like I said in the beginning, this is a little complicated, but these types of support cases are typically very complicated, and these crash dumps are typically the information we need to get to the bottom of them. So thank you for watching this just-in-time video short. I'm Matt McClellan.